All right. Hi, everyone. Welcome to today's admin training session. My name is Jamie Bruin. I'm part of the support team here at SuiteFiles. And so this training session is going to be going through kind of admin features and how admins can manage their SuiteFiles subscription, their SuiteFiles accounts, manage their users, set up permissions, that sort of thing. If you have any questions along the way, feel free to put them through the Q&A section of our Zoom webinar tool. I'll be keeping an eye out for any questions. If anyone wants me to clarify anything or go back over anything, please let me know. I'm also recording this webinar so that I can upload a recording to our YouTube channel. If anyone's interested in getting any of those links to the videos that are on YouTube, please just let me know by flicking an email to support. Our contact email address is support@suitefiles.com. So if you ever have any issues, any questions, need help with anything, please just feel free to send through an email to this email address, and we'll be able to help you out there. We also have our Help Center. Our Help Center can be accessed with the URL suitehelp.suitefiles.com. There's also plenty of buttons in our website and our web app and that kind of thing to take you to the Help Center. But you can also just enter this URL to get here. This has instructions, a get started guide, all sorts of kind of help content on here, as well as things like managing SuiteFiles users and more admin specific features here. All right, so to begin with, I just want to kind of go through a bit of the kind of information around the setup of SuiteFiles, what's supported in terms of browsers and the operating system, and just a bit of kind of general info that's good to know before you're really using SuiteFiles. So, in terms of the supported operating systems, for Windows, we recommend using Windows 8 and Windows 10. Windows 7 is kind of getting a little bit outdated now, and we're finding it's kind of getting a bit harder to have apps run well on Windows 7 compared to the likes of Windows 10 in particular. You can use everything on Windows 7. We can't guarantee things will run as well as they will on Windows 10 though. In terms of our supported browsers for Windows, our supported browser and recommended browser is the Chrome browser. When we build and test things, we do it more specifically for the Chrome browser, as well as the fact that our Chrome extension is an extension only for the Chrome browser. So we recommend using Chrome when you're running a Windows computer. For the Office apps, it needs to be Office 2013 at the minimum. We recommend using Office 2016 or Office 365. If you're on a Mac, the supported operating system for a Mac is just the latest version of Mac. In terms of the browsers, it's actually not Chrome, it's actually Safari, just because that's what Office 365 works best in. And if you're on a Mac, there are some things that won't work. For instance, our SuiteDrive app won't work. Our SuiteFiles for Outlook add-in won't work. We do actually have a Mac compatible Outlook app that we've been kind of working on a release for. It's actually kind of ready. So if anyone actually wants access to that, just contact us by emailing our support team, and we can actually set up the app and give you access to it. And yeah, there are restricted characters in Office 365, which carries through into SuiteFiles. This is probably actually something quite important just to take note of. So on our Help Center, you can find a list of the restricted characters. If you just do a search for restricted characters, you'll find a list here. Now, these are the characters that you cannot use in folder names and file names. So probably the most common ones that we see here are the hashtag and the asterisks and even slashes as well, and dollar signs as well, actually. If you put these in file or folder names, you're probably going to find that that file or folder can't be renamed or can't be opened. You just pretty much want to avoid using these restricted characters. Things like the ampersand can be used, the plus symbol, underscore, commas, and brackets, that kind of thing. So yeah, just take note of this list here, and it's also actually a good idea just to kind of pass this around with your team and just make sure people are aware of this. Cool. Now that's kind of the general info. In terms of managing users, if you need to add new users to your SuiteFiles site, it's actually really simple. All they need is to have an Office 365 login in your Office 365 account that you have SuiteFiles deployed to. And all they do is they go to your SuiteFiles URL. So, example, demosuite.sharepoint.com. They go to this URL, they log in with their Office 365 login, and they're automatically added to your SuiteFiles subscription, and they can start working in your SuiteFiles site. So that's how you add new users. There's nothing manual or specific that you have to do or that we have to do to add users to your subscription. It's all kind of automatic as long as they have an Office 365 login. If you need to, if you'd like to view invoices or remove users from your subscription, you can do this at the management portal. So the management portal is accessible with the URL manage.thefullsuite.com. So just this part here. When you go to our management portal, you'll need to log in with your SuiteFiles site URL, your Office 365 email address, and your Office 365 password. Now, I'm just going to quickly make sure I get to the right place here. Cool. Whoops. That went a bit crazy. Cool. So when you log in, this is what you're going to see. You're going to see some information like whether your credit card's been set up or not, some contact information. We've actually got a new place to do all of this, so this isn't really too much to worry about. Really the main thing through this section is the Manage Users section. So the Manage Users tab here is what actually allows you to remove users from your SuiteFiles subscription. Now, we don't have anything in our system that can kind of figure out whether users are active in your site or not, just because people can go away temporarily and come back, and we can't know that for sure. So if someone leaves your company, if someone is no longer using your SuiteFiles site, what you need to do is you need to actually remove them yourself as the admin. And the way to do this is to do it through the management portal here. You just click on the minus icon next to the login and click OK. That will remove this user from your subscription, and we'll know that they've been removed from your subscription, so they won't be showing up on your subscription any further. If you remove a user like halfway through the month or partway through a month, you will still be invoiced for that user for that full month. And because invoices are done at the end of the month, so for example, a couple of weeks ago, you would have gotten your invoice for, or people may have gotten their invoice for the month of May, and you'd removed the user halfway through May. Then when you got that invoice on the 1st of June, you still would have been invoiced for that user for the month of May. However, for all months afterwards, they will no longer appear on your invoice. If you need to view your invoices, you can do so from the section. There's a View Invoices tab here. You can click on this. You can click on the little link with the invoice number, and you can view your invoice here and see things like it'll say if there's a migration cost here, or things like the count of how many users you had for that month and what subscription they're currently on. If you want to see users that you've added or removed, you can click on the View Activity tab, and you can see things like if you've changed the level of your subscription, how many users you started the month with. We can see a user was added on the 1st of the 11th, 2017. We can see when users were removed, that kind of thing. Cool. So yes, cool. Okay, that's the kind of management portal side of things. I'll also just show you the way where you can manage some of the account stuff in the web app. We're kind of in the process of moving everything from this separate management portal here directly into your SuiteFiles site. So you can try and access it from here. I'd actually recommend trying it out. You do have to be a specific admin, so if it doesn't work, just let us know and we'll just check you've got the right access. But if you click on username at the top right of the browser, you should see an account button here. In this account button, you should be able to see things like your billing details, subscription level, your invoices. So if we click on any of those, just hoping that that works. It might not work here. As I said, we're kind of in the process of migrating that, so we might not see any of it working here. Matter of fact, no, it doesn't look like it's going to work for me today. But this is where you're going to be able to access all of that stuff from going forward. Cool. So the next big thing really for admins is around folder permissions. So the way that folder permissions work is you set up security groups or create security groups, and then you actually use them in the folder permissions to determine whether users have permission to access that folder and its contents or not. So what we want to do is we want to go to the More section or the More tab in our SuiteFiles site. We want to click More, and then click Manage Users and Groups. Now, on the left-hand side here, we can see a list of groups. The special groups, the site admins are the admins in SuiteFiles. Now, these admins, or any users that are in this admins or owners group, can pretty much manage users, manage templates, delete, and they can override all folder permissions you set. So if you want people to have access to some features like deleting or managing templates, but you don't want them to be able to access some folders that you set permissions on, then don't just add them to the admins group or make them a full admin, because they'll be able to override anything you set. The all contributors special group here just is basically the group of everyone who has access to your SuiteFiles site. The everyone group here, or the everyone member, is a special kind of Office 365 group, and that just means literally every user that belongs to your Office 365 account has permission. So that's actually the default permission, is that every user in your Office 365 account can access your SuiteFiles site. If you want to change that, then you actually need to delete this group and add users that you want to have access through this option here. You'll only see users come through into your SuiteFiles site though if they've actually logged into it before. So if you're adding new users who haven't logged into SuiteFiles and you want to manually give them permission to access your site, then you'll actually need to do that a different way. The best way to kind of arrange that is to contact us and we can take you through that process, because it is a bit different. The all groups is just showing you all of the security groups that you have in your site. Most of these will be groups you've created yourself, but the members group is a default one, the owners group is a default one, and the visitors group is a default group. The owners one is just the site admins, the members is just the group of everyone who has permission to access your SuiteFiles site. Now, the members, owners, and visitors group being the default ones, you shouldn't be able to delete these, but if there's any option to, do not delete them, because they will most likely stop anyone from accessing your site or cause problems. If you want to ask about anything to do with those groups, or if you want to customize them, please just reach out and let us know, and we can go through and help you with what you're wanting to do. Underneath this list of groups, we have a list of all of our users in our SuiteFiles site. So these are users that have logged into our SuiteFiles site before. Now, we do sometimes come across seeing users that haven't logged into SuiteFiles coming through here. Don't worry if that's the case. They can just show up. It's just one of those random things. Also, if a user's just logged into SuiteFiles, there might just be a slight delay in them showing up here. But pretty much you'll see all of the users that actually use your SuiteFiles site in this list. Now, what you can actually do here is you can click on a user like so, and you can actually customize their permissions. Now, let's actually select Jack here because he shouldn't be an admin. We'll just set these all to default. Cool. Okay, so what we can do here is we can see a bit of information. We can see their email address that they log in as. We can see when they first logged in. We can see when the user last logged in. This customized email notifications is just for if you want to change the email address they get sharing notifications to. You can change that by clicking yes, clicking edit, and typing in the email address that you want them to get the notifications to, like so. And this email address will now be used to send notifications to this user here. Even though you can see it's actually the same email address, we won't worry about that. We can also set up some user permissions here. So these are just specific to this user. So I can say these are the default permissions here, so everything's just set to no. So for Jack, I can say I don't want him to be an admin, because if he's an admin, he's going to override all folder permissions. He's going to override things and just be able to see and do everything in the SuiteFiles site. But maybe I want him to be able to manage templates. So that's manage file and folder templates and create them. If I want him to be able to create templates and edit them, I would change this toggle to yes. If I want Jack to be able to delete files and folders, I would change this setting to yes. If I wanted Jack to be able to download folders as zip files, I would change this to yes, but maybe I don't want to, so I'll leave that on no. And these are the permissions that he currently has. So now he can manage templates and he can delete content, but he's not an admin and he can't download folders as zip files. Of course, he can still download files, but that's just a bit slightly different in terms of why you might not want people to download folders as zip files. We can also see which security groups this user Jack belongs to. So we can see he's part of the business admin group, the business something group, the contractors, IT support, reception admin staff. If you want to remove him from any of these groups quickly, you can just hover over the red button and click delete. We can see it's updated there. Now, that's setting up user permissions. But what we can also do is we can set up our security groups now to apply in folder permissions. So let's say the scenario here is I've got a folder in my SuiteFiles site. I'm logged in as a standard user in this browser here, and I'm actually an admin in this browser here. So as a standard user, I can go into a business folder and I can see the audits folder here. Now, let's say as an admin, I want to set up permissions so that this user here, Jamie, cannot see the audit folder here and cannot access it because maybe that folder contains some confidential documents. So what we'd need to do to set up the permissions on that folder is, as a SuiteFiles admin, we need to first of all create a security group. So that's in our manage users and groups, which is where we are now. We want to click the create group button at the right hand side here. We want to create a security group to apply to that folder. So let's say we're going to call this our audit group We're going to click the create button. It's going to create our new security group. We can see it under our list of groups here. Now this is an empty group, so if I apply it to have permissions to that folder, it's not going to do anything. So what I want to do is add users into this group. So I'm going to click the add users to this group button. And I'm going to add the users who should have access to that audit folder. So I'm going to say that Andrew should have permissions to access it. I'm going to say that Kim should have permissions to access that folder. And I'm going to say that Callum should have permissions to be able to access that folder. But all other users cannot access that folder. So I'm going to click confirm. These are going to be the only 3 users that belong to the audit group. And what I'm going to now do is go ahead and apply those permissions to the folder. So I'm going to go into my business folder. I'm going to go to my audit folder. Now I can either just right click on the folder from here and click manage permissions, or I can go into the folder, click the 3 dots, bring up the folder options, click the manage permissions button, and now we can actually see there's already folder permissions here. This is what you'll normally see. It will just say customize folder permissions, and you can change this to yes. When you do so, you have the ability to add a security group that will have permission to this folder. So I'm going to add that group that I just created, the audit group. I'm going to type in the name of the group and select it from the drop down. We can see it's been selected. I'm going to click the X. Let's save the settings. So what I've just done is basically set it up so that only the members of that audit group can access this audit folder and work on anything in here. So my Jamie login is not part of that audit group, which means that I'm not going to actually have access to that audit group. So if I just quickly reload my SuiteFiles here, I'm going to go into that business folder. And as you can see, I can't see the audit folder in here. So not only can I not access the content in it, I can't even actually see that that folder exists, which is even better in terms of your security. So I can't access it now as this login. You know, you might have client folders where you know, you don't, there's some users, or you know, maybe for most of your staff, you don't want them to actually be able to access those client folders, but maybe they're actually client names that you don't want your users to see, because maybe there are users who shouldn't actually see who those clients even are. Then you can set up the permissions this way, and those users won't be able to see the name of those folders even. So it's really, really good. What we can also do is, if we go back to managing the permissions on the folder, so click on the 3 dots, click manage permissions. We just added a group and basically told the folder that only members of this group can access it. We can set things up a bit more than that, so we can actually go to the advanced tab under permissions. And we can see a list of all of our security groups, and we can apply some read-only permissions, as well as just the edit and none. So edit is just basically full access. You can modify content, upload content, rename folders and files, that kind of thing. Whereas read-only means they can only view content, they can't create or modify content. None is where they can't even see that that folder exists. And the permissions are inherited, so subfolders under that folder will also have the same permissions applied. So I can go ahead and say that I actually want the Jamie Bruin group to have read-only permission, or the IT support to have read-only permission. I want audit group to have full edit permissions. Maybe I want the business admin group to have edit permissions. And I can click the close button, and it will save those settings. Now, if I go back to my login here that isn't an admin, if I go into the business folder, I can now see that I actually have access to that audit folder again, because we just applied permissions to that. I actually have read-only permissions to access the audit folder. If I open up a document from here and go to edit this document, it won't actually, shouldn't let me save changes. So it hasn't actually saved any changes. I'm pretty sure if you open it into the desktop app, it will come up and say that the file is read-only. So it's just basically that kind of thing. You can save a copy of a document if you've got read-only permissions, but you can't update the actual live kind of document. Yeah, that's really the kind of folder permission stuff and setting up security groups and doing that. Yeah, that's pretty much all the admin stuff, actually. If anyone has any questions about any of that or would like me to just go back over any of that, please put through a question through the tool and let me know. If anyone has any questions later on or come across anything that they're not sure about, please feel free to email support team, support@suitefiles.com. We can help you out. If you'd like to get the link to the recording of this webinar, please also email this email address here and let us know. And we'll be able to send you the link to view the recording of this. All right, cool. Thanks for your attendance, everyone. And hopefully that all kind of made sense. Again, if anyone has any questions, please flick through an email here and let us know. Otherwise, I hope you all enjoy the rest of your days. All right, thank you. See ya.